Hello iChurchers and welcome back to another tutorial on how to edit your iChurch site. This video is the second in the series, and today, after having learned to log in the first video, we're just looking at the overall picture and navigating our way around editing our site. Our iChurch site is built on something called Divi, which is indicated by this little D here. That's the logo. And Divi is what we call a visual builder. It's a way of building and editing pages of our website in a way that's essentially like editing this page as a Word document. And so this video is essentially going to outline the little steps and the little bits that you need to remember in order to safely and easily navigate your way around editing a page. The beauty of Divi is that every page is built the same. It's built with the same sort of structure. And once you learn the structure and once you learn the way of navigating your way around that structure, then you can edit and create any page you like. It's a real easy tool to use. So what I'm going to do to illustrate that structure is just have a look at this page, which is a kind of generic About Us page that we'll often create for most websites, either a United Reformed Church, local ecumenical partnership, or whoever you are with an iChurch website. It's often helpful to have an About Us page. As we demonstrated in the first video, once you're logged in, you can see this black bar across the top of your website, of any page that you're on your website. So I can navigate to the Contact Us page, and you can see I'll still have that black bar across the top. I'm then going to go back to the page we were on. And on any one of those pages, if I spot something I want to change, or if there's something I want to change about a particular page, if I'm logged in and I'm on that page, all I need to do is click this Enable Visual Builder button. That'll be at the top of every single page. As you can see, when it begins to load, we're faced with exactly the same thing, but now we're able to edit it. As I said towards the beginning of the video, we're not going to spend this time looking at how to edit, we're just looking at the overall structure of a page, because once you get the idea of that structure, it really helps to navigate your way around the editing part. So all pages, as you can see when I'm moving my mouse around here, you can see lots of different boxes flashing up and flagging up. So we're going to work from the outside and we're going to work our way in. That's pretty much how it works. So every page has what we call sections. That's where you have to begin. The section is the biggest part of the website. We can see sections are illustrated from the things on the very outside. So we have this blue section here. This is what we call a regular section, and it's indicated because it's blue. And then at the top here, we have what's called a full width section. And that's illustrated by the fact that this one is purple. You can see what you're looking at because of, and it's very difficult to point, but because of the highlighted box. So that's what we're looking at. Once we go inside a regular section, if we hover towards the middle, we then get to this green thing. Green indicates a row. And that row can be as long or as short as you like. Don't think of it too much like a row in a table, but think of it as an inner part of the section. Within a row, we can have columns. So it is a bit like a table in that sense. And then within columns, or just within a section altogether, like at the top here, we have grey. And grey indicates a module. Now the module is the stuff. It's quite difficult to explain it in any other way, but it's the stuff that we put on our website, whether it be as simple as stuff on this page like an image and some text, but we've also got slightly more advanced modules like this one at the bottom here, which is what we call an accordion or a set of tabs. An accordion means when we open one tab, it closes the previous one, so it kind of squashes the previous ones together. We're not going to go into detail in this video what each of those modules does, because we'll go into those in a bit more detail, some of the key modules that you'll want to use on your iChurch website. But the main things to remember is that if we want to edit the particular features or the settings of a module, then we need to go over the module and we need to click the settings button. Now the settings, the phrase settings, it sounds a bit weird because actually in this case, changing the settings is actually to change everything about the module possible. So that could be the text inside the module, the image itself inside the image module, how big it is, how small it is, whether it stretches, whether it doesn't, all the sorts of features of that module we edit inside the settings. And like any website or any application you use, we find the settings by clicking the cog icon. The same applies for our section. So if we want to just edit the features of our section, that's not the things inside the section, just the section itself, then we click the settings button on the section. And the same applies for rows as well. Again, we've got the settings button here. The other key thing to point out is the button next to the settings button, which is essentially our move arrow. So this is the beauty of Divi, is that it's a very visual builder. So I can pick up any module, any row, any section, and I can move it. Once I start clicking and dragging it, you can see it disappears, and I'm essentially holding it. I'm grabbing it now with my mouse. And wherever I move it, you can see this sort of shaded icon, the shaded rectangle will appear on the screen. Wherever I let that go is where it will land. So if I let it go here, then the text moves to there. And then I may wish to move the text back. As you can see, sometimes it can get a little bit glitchy, but I move the text back over to this side, and here it is. Sometimes you might have to just make sure it drops in the right place. There's sometimes a few difficulties based on the way your borders and your margins work. So just make sure you're dropping it into the right place. But the main thing is you don't have to try too hard to essentially just drag and drop. And you can do the same thing with a whole row. You can see what we're going to move if we were to drag this row. You can see what we're going to move if we're dragging this whole section. But as you can see, this whole section is the whole page. And that's usually how your website will be set up. You don't tend to need more than one section in each page. So within our sections, we have rows, and within our rows, we have modules. Our rows, and we will go into more detail than that about rows in another video, we can change the column structure. So by clicking on here, we can change how many columns we have. So that's really good for displaying, say, lots of icons or lots of little images, and we can do all sorts of different combinations. So this gives you a really easy way of setting up your website, or indeed just editing the website that we've set up for you. As you've probably been able to tell, a lot of the icons for rows, sections, and modules are all very similar. So they all have a move button, and they all have a settings button. And just by hovering over each button, you can see what it does. And this is the joy of Divi, is it's very self-explanatory. The next button along is the duplicate button. This is really good for duplicating a chunk of text or duplicating an image, especially if you've got the image settings right, because you can create rounded borders, you can create shadows, you can create animations. If you created something that you really like, you can then just duplicate those settings and replace the image. But just by clicking the duplicate button, instantly duplicates it below. Then we've got the bin button a little bit further on. We do also have this button in the middle, which is a library. Each website, every individual website has a library. So, and this is essentially a library for, in this case, a module. But we can save entire sections to our library as well. And that is your own library. So if you have, let's say, a bit of text on this page or an image that you want to use again, or this accordion at the bottom, and I want to take this entire module and I want to copy it over to another page, or I want to save it for a later date, maybe to use again, then I can save it to my library. If I did want to copy a module straight away and move it to somewhere else on my website straight away, I can click these three dots here, and you can see I've got copy module here. So that will enable me to copy a module. I can click that, and then I'll just demonstrate it at the top here rather than go on to another page. But I can click this button again, and I can click paste module. By pasting it in here, we can see that accordion has been pasted onto here. But I can do that by going to another page and pasting it there instead. My recommendation is to set up a page that you never publish. Is to set up a page that you can just have a play around with. You can have a play around with modules, you can have a play around with rows, see what it all does basically. We can create that page for you because there are some specifics with making sure that it's not actually published. But we will be going through that in the next video anyways, creating draft pages before actually publishing them. But this hopefully was a helpful overview for you on navigating your way around sections, within those rows, and then within those modules. The beauty of Divi is that it's not specific to iChurch. Divi is in fact the world's most popular form of website editing on WordPress. So if you ever have any problems with Divi, then of course you can contact the iChurch team. But the beauty is that you can unlock and access the entirety of the Divi support network. And the easiest way of doing that, quite simply, is by Googling. So have a Google and say, Divi, how do I do X, Y, Z? How do I copy a module? And someone, usually Divi themselves, have created a tutorial video on it. Divi's website is elegantthemes.com. That's elegantthemes.com. So I would recommend you go there and have a look yourself, have a play around, have a see what tutorial videos are there. Obviously, come back to our own tutorials and don't hesitate to contact the iChurch team. But thanks for listening to this tutorial, and we'll see you again soon.